If you don't know, I'm Captain Jake Sparks of the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office. It's SPARKS. I'm the captain of the Investigative Services Unit here for the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office. So first, like just to start with a statement on behalf of Sheriff DeBoer, the Sheriff's Office would like to first recognize the scope of this tragedy. This is far more than a news story. This situation personally impacts dozens, if not hundreds of people in the county. Our hearts go out to those families, the neighbors, the co-workers, the teachers, the students of Grand Haven Public Schools, and the friends of the victims. This is an unspeakable tragedy that we may never completely understand why it happened, but we'll do our best to find the answers and to honor the memory of those victims. I'll then go a little bit into the updated information here, and then from there I'll answer any questions that you guys might have. The Ottawa County Sheriff's Office is investigating the suspicious deaths of a family in Grand Haven Township. The investigation began on the morning of July 24th, 2026, when deputies were assisting the Grand Haven Township Fire Department on a house fire call. At approximately 11:42 a.m., sheriff's deputies and fire personnel went to this area in the 14900 block of Riverside Trail in Grand Haven Township after receiving a call for smoke showing from a residence in the area. Fire personnel began working to suppress the fire and entered the residence to check for victims, and at that time numerous decedents were found inside the home, and sheriff's detectives began an investigation at that time. On-scene investigation showed that at least some of the decedents had gunshot wounds, and the initial number of decedents found inside was 8. 2 of them were adults and 6 of them were children. Since that time, Sheriff's Office detectives and investigators have continued to investigate, and forensic autopsies have been completed at Corwell Health Blodgett Hospital. The decedents have been positively identified at this point, and the cause and manner of death has been established. The deceased adults are Christopher Karalkowitz, age 47 of Grand Haven, and Amanda Karalkowitz, age 39 of Grand Haven. The couple were married. The 6 deceased Karalkowitz children's name will not be released at this time. These include males ages 15, 12, 11, and 5, and females age 11 and 11. 4 of the children were biological children, and 2 were adopted. After the post-mortem autopsies, it was determined that the cause of death for all the subjects involved in this was ruled gunshot wounds, and the manner of death for Amanda and the 6 children was ruled homicide. The manner of death for Christopher has been ruled suicide. Additionally, after checking with the Michigan State Police Fire and Arson investigators, it was determined they're working to identify the cause and origin of the fire. We don't have that official report yet, but preliminary indications are that the fire was intentionally set in numerous different places throughout the residence on the interior of the home. The family pets also perished due to fire or smoke inhalation. I can tell you that no suspects remain at large in this incident at this time. The investigation at this point shows that this was a murder-suicide, with the fire being started after the murders. The case remains open and under investigation to try to get to the bottom and get answers of what happened leading up to the incident. So I will take any follow-up questions that you have at this time. Please be orderly and just keep in mind that it is still an active investigation. I won't be able to go into every detail of the investigation. So,
were there any triggers for Chris as far as not doing his job or any board proceedings, anything like that that could have brought an answer to any of this?
That's a good question. That's still part of the ongoing investigation. We're just now getting started in the investigative portion. So obviously most of the first day was entirely on-scene investigation, and now we'll dig in some of the background motives and all those type of things, but I don't have that for you right now.
Do we have a time frame of when the victims died?
Oh, that's a good question too. Thank you. We believe that this incident could have started the night before and then carried over into the morning. Early morning hours. There were reports of a smell of smoke in the area earlier in that morning. Which leads me to believe that something might have happened early in the morning, and then when the fire had smoldered and actually started to smoke and flames were seen, or smoke was seen, was later about 11:42 in the morning. So I think it could have started earlier than that, up to and including the day or the night before.
Did neighbors report report hearing any gunshots the night before?
We're still working on that. We have, hours and hours and hours of investigation to do, and canvassing and video canvassing and that type of thing. So we're running down some of those leads at this time.
What were the signs of the fire was intentionally set?
What's that?
What were the signs of the fire was intentionally?
That's a good question. There were various different spots lit throughout the residence, both the first floor and the basement floor.
Was a gun recovered?
I'm not going to go into specific evidence at this time and what's been recovered.
Where were the people found?
Throughout the house, I understand the question. There were numerous different bedrooms throughout the house.
Was there any communication left behind, a note or anything that may indicate his state of mind?
We're still pouring through all that right now. I don't have any specific note that was left, no, but there was a lot of documentation that we seized from the scene, and we're going to go over processing that. It'll take a while to get through.
Was that evidence, those papers, was that recoverable as far as, were they lit on fire or?
No, good question. So there was different amounts of damage throughout the house. The basement floor was more heavily damaged than the main floor. And so there were items that were recovered. Other stuff was badly burned. So it just depends on, and I'm not going to go a lot into the fire details. I'm not a firefighter. But some areas were spared. Some areas had more fire. So we'll process that evidence as we go.
Do you have any information on their?
Go ahead, sir.
Well, I was just wondering if you know, like, when it started and if it was like they were all in their bed sleeping, or?
Yeah, I don't have those specific answers. I have some theories. Like I said, they were in numerous different bedrooms throughout the residence, both the main floor and the basement floor, or the lower level. People were spread throughout the house, most of them in different various bedrooms, yes.
Sounded like they had a lot of pets. Do you have a list of what those would be?
I don't have the exact number. I know that there were several dogs and at least one cat as well.
Is there a history of calls for law enforcement to this residence at all?
I'm not aware of any, no.
Would you be able to share the make and model or details of the gun, or is that not
It would-
available at this point?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was a handgun.
Is it a registered firearm?
Was it a registered firearm? I believe so, yes. Anything else I can answer for anybody?
How difficult has this been for your department? This doesn't usually happen. This is not a normal investigation.
Yeah. These are difficult scenes to process. It's obviously a terrible tragedy. It's tough to deal with. I would say that in my career, we've definitely had a shift in focus to the mental health of the responders as well, which has all been positive. And we have peer support teams, we have employee assistants, we have our victim advocates and our victim services. And I don't know if any of you guys, maybe Micah, some of you guys were on scene that night, but we had our canteen services that are there, something as simple as making sure the responders have something to drink and something to eat. Our victim advocates, it wasn't just this call we were dealing with, there's all the other calls that are going around the entire county at the time, and they're going around. We're doing multiple death notifications. That's hard work, and they're there with us, volunteering to help go out there and do that so that we can do the police work, the investigation, and they're helping us with that. The food, the beverages, we had Mission Barbecue. People were calling and offering to bring us food because we were on scene for a long period of time. So that's much appreciated. We have a peer support team here that helps, employee assistance, the community in general. People open up their homes for us so that we could use restrooms after being on scene for that long is greatly appreciated. So that's why this is, the greatest place to work in the world. So.
Do you believe
Go
I
ahead.
believe a silencer could have been used. Have you recovered one of those from the scene?
I don't believe that's anything to do with the investigation, no.
Has this investigation impacted at all your coverage for Coast Guard Festival?
No. We have people that are ready to go. There was other incidents this weekend that happened, and they jumped back on the horse. So we have good, hard-working men and women here that are doing their best to keep the community safe.
How rare is an investigation like this in scope for Ottawa County? I mean, to have 8 dead in one scene seems pretty notable. Can you remember anything else that kind of comes close?
Unfortunately, there's been several I can think of. that are like this, but not in a long time. So, and to this scope, to this number of victims is pretty unique, thankfully.
Are you able to
Go
confirm
ahead.
the line of work for both of the parents?
No, I'm not going to go into that at this time.
How long was it,
Go ahead.
how long was it before, so Chris shot his 6 children, his wife, how long before those murders happened and then he killed himself?
Yeah, I can't answer that question. I understand where you're coming from. That's the same thing we're working to try to establish, right? But I can't answer that question. All I can tell you is that the autopsy shows that the deaths occurred prior to the fire starting, and it shows homicide and it shows suicide. So I don't have a specific exact timeline for when that happened at this point.
Do you know how long they were married?
I don't have that in front of me right now. No.
How does this investigation differ than one that would be going to a trial?
Well, there's no prosecution that takes place when the suspect is also deceased. There's no prosecution that takes place, but it doesn't change in the fact that we're trying to get answers for family. We're trying to get answers for the community. We're trying to get answers for our own responders, and the only way to get those answers is to do a full, fair, thorough, detailed, complete investigation. It's not always fast, but to do a fair and thorough and detailed investigation gives those answers to family, to neighbors, to the community, to the responders that went there. So that takes some time, but eventually people are all going to want those answers, and that's why we work hard to try to get them honest answers.
Can you confirm that the 2 girls were the adopted children?
That's correct, yes. Go ahead.
What are you asking from not only the physical community, but also the online community as you guys work through this investigation?
Can you ask the first part of that again?
Yeah, what are you guys asking of, or what do you want the community to keep in mind while you work through this investigation, as well as the online community?
Yeah, well, I guess, we're fact finders, and so we look for facts. Sometimes people like to reach out with supposition or their opinions on things, and that's not as helpful as people might think at times. It gives us more stuff to sift through. So if they have some fact based past or history or knowledge of this couple, this family, that they think should be helpful, I encourage them to reach out to either the sheriff's office or Silent Observer. But yeah, we're not looking for opinions or internet sleuths and that type of thing.
Can you tell us how many gunshots were fired in total?
I can't at this point. So I know of at least 8. I'm not going to go into what my opinion is right now. I can only tell you what the facts are. I could tell that it was, they're in their bedrooms, and so I don't know.
All 6 children were in their bedrooms?
I believe that's the case, yes. Okay, a couple more. Anything else?
Is the department coordinating with the public school system? So we've seen a couple of news releases sent out to parents about grief support and counseling. Is the sheriff's office coordinating at all with the district to help better support the community?
Yeah, great question. Early on in the investigation, we reached out to the Grand Haven area public schools to make them aware of the situation. And so yes, we've been in contact with them throughout. Our school resource officer program is a great program. We have deputies that are assigned to that school, and we have great relationships there. So we let them know what was going on as soon as we kind of knew what was going on. So good question. Thank you. Anything else? I'll take 1 or 2 more.
Did anybody else fire the gun, or was it just Chris?
I don't, the investigation hasn't shown that anybody else has fired that gun.
Was there any type of struggle that you guys found with any of the victims?
Not as far as I know, no. Anything else? Thank you all. I appreciate you and appreciate the community's support throughout this, and the media's coverage and support, and being respectful of us out there as we were trying to work the scene that day. So appreciate all your relationships. Have a good day.